Welcome back to the Phantom Tollbooth, and we are about to see how Milo escapes from the demons of ignorance. Scary stuff. We'll back up just a little bit here. Closer and closer the demons loomed as the desperate chase neared its end. Then, gathering themselves for one final leap, they prepared to engulf first the bug, and then the boy, and lastly the dog and his two passengers. They rose as one and suddenly stopped, as if frozen in midair, unable to move, staring ahead in terror. Milo slowly raised his head, and there in the horizon, for as far as the eye could see, stood the massed armies of wisdom, the sun glistening from their swords and shields, and their bright banners slapping proudly at the breeze. Yay! For a moment, everything was silent. Then a thousand trumpets sounded. Then 1,000 more. And like an ocean wave, the long line of horsemen advanced slowly at first, then faster and faster, until with a gallop and a shout, which was music to Milo's ears, they swept forward toward the horrified demons. There in the lead was King Azaz, his dazzling armor embossed with every letter in the alphabet, and with him the mathematician, brandishing a freshly sharpened staff. From his tiny wagon, Dr. Discord hurled explosion after explosion to the delight of the soundkeeper, while the busy din collected them almost at once, and in horror of the, and in honor of the occasion, Chroma the Great led his orchestra in a stirring display of patriotic colors. Everyone Milo had met during his journey had come to help. The men of the marketplace, the miners of Digitopolis, and all the good people from the valley and forest. The spelling bee buzzed excitedly overhead, shouting, "Charge! C-H-A-R-G-E! Charge! C-H-A-R-G-E!" Canby, who, as everyone knew, was as cowardly as can be, came all the way from Conclusions to show that he was also as brave. And even Officer Shrift, mounted proudly on a long, low dachshund, galloped grimly along. Cringing with fear, the monsters of ignorance turned in flight and, with anguished cries too horrible ever to forget, returned to the damp, dark places from which they came. The humbugs sighed with relief, and Milo and the princess prepared to greet the victorious army. "Well done," stated the Duke of Definition, dismounting and grasping Milo's hand warmly. "Fine job," seconded the Minister of Meaning. "Good work," added the Count of Connotation. "Congratulations," proposed the Earl of Essence. "Cheers," recommended the Undersecretary of Understanding. And since that's exactly what everyone felt like doing, that's exactly what everyone did. "It's we who should thank," began Milo when the shouting had subsided, but before he could finish, they had unrolled an enormous scroll, and with fanfare of trumpets and drums, they stated in order that, henceforth and forthwith, let it be known by all men that rhyme and reason reign once more in wisdom. The two princesses bowed gratefully and warmly kissed their brothers, and they all agreed that a very fine thing had happened. "And furthermore," continued the proclamation, "the boy named Milo, the dog known as Tuck, and the insect hereafter referred to as the humbug are hereby declared to be heroes of the realm." Cheer after cheer filled the air, and even the bug seemed a bit embarrassed at having so much attention paid to him. "Therefore," concluded the Duke, "in honor of their glorious deed, a royal holiday is declared. Let there be parades throughout every city in the land, and a gala carnival of 3 days' duration, consisting of jousts, games, feasts, and follies." The 5 cabinet members then rolled up the large parchment and, with many bows and flourishes, retired. Swift horsemen carried the news to every corner of the kingdom, and As the parade slowly wound its way through the countryside, crowds of people gathered to cheer it along. Garlands of flowers hung from every house and shop and carpeted the street. Even the air shimmered with excitement, and shutters closed for many years were thrown open to let the brilliant sunlight shine where it hadn't shone in so long. Milo, Tock, and the very subdued Humbug sat proudly in the royal carriage with Azaz, the math magician, and the two princesses, and the parade stretched for miles in both directions. As the cheering continued, Rhyme leaned forward and touched Milo gently on the arm. "They are shouting for you," she said with a smile. "But I could never have done it," he objected, without everyone else's help. "That may be true," said Reason gravely, "but you had the courage to try, and what you can do is often simply a matter of what you will do." "That's why," said Azaz, there was one very important thing about your quest that we couldn't discuss until you returned." "I remember," said Milo eagerly. "Tell me now." "It was impossible," said the king, looking at the math magician. "Completely impossible," said the math magician, looking at the king. "Do you mean?" stammered the bug, who suddenly felt a bit faint. "Yes, indeed," they repeated together. "But if we'd told you then, you might not have gone. And as you've discovered, so many things are possible just as long as you don't know they're impossible." And for the remainder of the ride, Milo didn't utter a sound. And with that, we'll leave and come back next time with the end of the celebration. Until then.